Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, it is a pleasure to join you virtually today. Let me at the outset commend the government of Malawi for its leadership as chair of the Least Developed Countries Group of Negotiators to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. As you continue your work in preparation for COP29, the voice and leadership of the LDCs is needed more than ever. Global emissions are at their highest ever levels and continue to rise. And we're witnessing firsthand the result of our inaction on climate: record heat, floods, droughts, wildfires, and storms, decimating lives, livelihoods, and economies. Over the last 50 years, nearly 70% of all deaths from climate-related disasters have occurred in your countries, the least developed countries. Globally, renewables are booming, but many countries are being left in the dark, hindered by the high cost of capital and debt. Developing and emerging economies outside of China have seen clean energy investments stuck at the same levels since 2015. Africa was home to less than 1% of last year's renewables installations, despite its wealth of resources and vast potential. Fossil fuel expansion continues at an alarming rate, especially in the G7 and G20. It is unacceptable that those who have contributed least to creating this crisis are paying the heaviest price. The G20 accounts for 80% of global emissions and must lead the way. This means no backtracking on existing commitments, including their commitment to prepare 1.5 aligned whole of economy nationally determined contributions next year. NDCs from the G20 and other major emitters should reflect how they intend to contribute to the global goal on renewables and the transition away from fossil fuels agreed to in the UAE consensus. For your countries, the new NDCs offer a critical opportunity to identify investment needs and priorities for mitigation and adaptation. These plans should align with your country's development priorities and can serve as investment blueprints for a sustainable future. The United Nations stands ready to support your countries through the Climate Promise, which will assist developing countries in preparing their new NDCs. Any survival plan for humanity and the planet must have at its heart the interests of the most vulnerable. This means closing the adaptation finance gap, ensuring that finance for adaptation and mitigation is accessible and affordable for the LDCs, and that we finally fix the outdated, dysfunctional, and unfair international financial architecture. We need all parties to agree on and deliver a strong finance outcome at COP29, one that builds trust and provides predictability to developing countries. The LDCs are home to 1.1 billion people. Your voices carry immense political weight and influence, and you have the moral authority to speak truth to power and build bridges. You can be assured of the continued support and partnership of the United Nations. I thank you.